What is up, everybody? We're here in the studio, and we're going to talk some waiver guys today, as well as some of the guys we didn't get in last night's video that we might be buying in fantasy football. So let's go ahead and talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I think, and you pointed this out to me, I think Zay Jones and what he did yesterday for the Jacksonville Jaguars was a little bit underrated. Talk about Zay Jones and what we're looking for him from going forward from this week on.
Yeah, I mean, not only did Zay Jones look good, but notably, he had a 22% target share last season. Yesterday, Trevor Lawrence threw the ball 32 times. Zay Jones was the recipient of 7 of those. So, again, 22% target share. He did snag a touchdown, which helped him. Brought him up to 16.5 points in, if we're talking fantasy production. But even without that, he still had, it would have been, 5 for 7, 55 yards. He would have had 10 points. So, really, if you're looking at a guy who is rostered in, 12% of leagues, yeah, I mean, I think Zay Jones has a real opportunity to turn into something. I mean, he's picking up right where he left off last year, like I just said, with that consistent target rate. And then you look at the secondaries that he's playing over the next few weeks. He's playing Kansas City, Houston, Atlanta, Buffalo, Indy again. I think he has a real chance to actually give you some production. Wide receiver 26 this week, 89% snap share. So I'm curious to see what Christian Kirk's snap share was real quickly.
It was 61%.
60%, yeah. So out-snapped Christian Kirk, obviously out-targeted him by double. Zay Jones could really be the wide receiver 2 there, kind of, with Christian Kirk. We'll see what happens.
So that was my next question. How concerned are you about Christian Kirk? Because Christian Kirk, obviously, going into this season, was being drafted as a top 30 wide receiver. Mm-hmm. Trevor Lawrence looked decent yesterday. I mean, I think Trevor Lawrence is still going to be a guy that makes his weapons better. But Christian Kirk, coming out of the slot, I mean, I'd be interested, and I'll look while we're talking here, but theoretically, Calvin Ridley should not have affected Christian Kirk because Calvin Ridley was not really playing in the slot.
No, he wasn't. I mean, you make a great point. And last year, Christian Kirk, there were 2 games where he had this exact same stat line with 3 targets against Houston, and actually both times against Houston. So it seems like he was probably playing against Derek Stingley those weeks, so It seems like he can get shut down, and you'd think that, Calvin Ridley, yesterday at least, was taking Kenny Moore and taking that main best cornerback on the team covering Calvin Ridley, and he obviously didn't do much to slow him down, but you'd think Christian Kirk would be getting the targets there instead of Zay Jones. Well, he didn't. But you see this around the league, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, where, you kind of have one of them who, Tyler Boyd's still a very talented wide receiver who just every few weeks is able to produce. And so maybe that's what we have with Christian Kirk here. We're going to have to wait and see, and we saw how good he was last year. I mean, obviously, he finished as the wide receiver 11, and he has that ability. But I am actually decently worried. I mean, I believed in Calvin Ridley this year, and I believed in Christian Kirk at the same time. Who knows? Maybe Zay Jones is the one there.
All right, let us know what you think of Christian Kirk in the comments. So, I personally, I think there is a world where all 3 of these guys are productive.
Yes.
I think similar to Jamar
Trevor Lawrence
Chase,
is that good.
T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd.
Evan Ingram?
See that? So it is crowded there. I'll give you that. And Evan Ingram looked pretty good yesterday.
Evan Ingram is going to have more of a stranglehold on the targets than Christian Kirk is. Yeah, man, he had 5 for 5 yesterday.
I also wouldn't be surprised
yards.
to see a 9-target game from Christian Kirk next week and have him bounce back.
Yeah.
So it will be interesting. I think you should look, number one, will people drop Christian Kirk? They should not drop Christian Kirk.
Not.
And if you're thinking about that, do not do that. But if people are willing to trade Christian Kirk for something, that is essentially free, maybe you do take a shot on Christian Kirk. It just
Who would
depends.
you rather have, Puka Nacua or Christian Kirk? I know it's crazy that we're asking this question.
I mean, you're talking about a waiver guy, so
yeah,
I would still bet on
a guy. Every person in your league should want Puka Nacua.
That's true. Who would you rather have? I mean, let us know in the comments. Puka Nacua or Christian Kirk?
I'm not going to speak on it yet. I'm going to wait till next week.
I'm not gonna. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that.
Yeah. Because
part of me thinks the safer bet is Christian Kirk.
I would
actually. I know that he's.
I would not
one.
drop. Here's how I'll answer it. I would not drop Christian Kirk to pick up Puka Nacua.
No. But it's a fair question that needs to be asked. I mean, oh man. Okay, so Christian Kirk. Again, it's 1 week, so small sample size, but we have to wait and see. Another one I want to talk about is Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren.
Oh my gosh.
So if you would go ahead and pull up those game stats, I kind of want to see. I want to see how their production and how their usage was split up. At this point, and I heard the FSE guys talking about this on their live stream this morning, I don't think they're going to super care where they draft Najee anymore. I think they're going to play who gives them the best chance to
Remember
win.
when I got pooped on by specifically you and Nathan, maybe more Nathan, for saying Jalen Warren might have a pretty sizable workload in that backfield?
I have a vague memory of that, yes.
Yeah. Jalen Warren.
Hey, Sam. Can you get my laptop for me?
Not really. The Steelers didn't run the
bag.
ball hardly at all. I don't even know what the Steelers did yesterday. I guess Kenny Pickett threw the ball 46 times. Jalen Warren ran the ball 3 times for 6 yards, so
Thanks.
rough. Najee ran the ball 6 times for 31 yards, so he was obviously much more efficient. 5 yards per carry for Najee. That's a pretty rare stat line, but only 6 carries is crazy.
Yeah.
But when you look at the receptions where Najee is supposed to excel, Jalen Warren actually had 6 targets and Najee had 2.
Mm-hmm.
2 for 2 yards, which is pretty rough. So Jalen Warren outscored him in fantasy.
We are to that point now. And is it overly surprising?
No.
I think I kind of got on the Jalen Warren train because I drafted him into my redraft leagues.
Yeah.
Like late round, he was my guy.
Yeah,
I think I got on that train
a lot
after
of
the
them in best
preseason
ball.
because I realized, like, oh, crap, like, they might not care about Najee anymore. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and Najee, like, listen, we got some heat last year for calling out Najee as not being very good.
Yeah.
We got some crap for that.
But we were also this year the ones saying draft
To draft
Najee
Najee.
at the 3-4 turn.
And so for that reason alone, like I still at least have some hope in Najee Harris. But I will say Jalen Warren's making it real hot in here. I do not I do not know how to feel about that running back room going forward.
I think it's pretty hard to feel anything about the Steelers after yesterday. They were getting blown out, and it was pretty obvious by like the end of the first quarter.
They were
so
outmatched.
they
49ers
had
looked
9 total carries.
Yeah.
Yesterday between the 2 of them. So I don't really, if you count Kenny Pickett, there's 10 carries. I mean, they were obviously playing from behind, and they weren't trying to give either of them the ball. So we'll see what happens when they have an actual game plan that they get to play out. I do have a lot more hope for Najee in the future. Obviously, I grabbed quite a bit of him at the 3-4 turn, like we said, and I'm not ready to give up on him yet. But it is pretty disappointing to see Jalen Warren tripling his targets. It's week 1; they were down by a lot. They could have just been saying, all right, Najee's maybe still the focal point of their offense. Let's keep him healthy, keep him off the field right now because we know we're not going to win. But you'd think they would have done the same thing with Kenny Pickett if they were actually giving up.
All right. I want to talk a little bit more about Kendrick Bourne because we talked about Kendrick Bourne on our video that we released earlier this morning. And we mentioned that Kendrick Bourne is a really good waiver addition. And so when you go through and you're looking at the waivers right now in your fantasy leagues, it probably looks something like this. Of these 5 guys, Puka Nacua, Kendrick Bourne, Justice Hill, Gus Edwards, Kyron Williams, those are usually the top 5
Johnson.
guys. Yeah, Roshan's coming in after those guys. So then you claim as many, and Zay Jones is honestly not high enough on that list.
No.
But you claim as many of those guys as you can. And so when I'm looking at my waiver strategy right now, I'm thinking, okay, which one do I prioritize? Because you have rolling waivers in a lot of these leagues. My number 1 waiver priority for this week, I will say it right now, and I'll give away my secret. My number 1 waiver priority is Kendrick Bourne. I think of those guys, Kendrick Bourne is the safest and has the highest upside. He's going to be Mac Jones wide receiver 1 all year. I think for Juju, this is going to hurt Juju's stock. And unfortunately for us, like I drafted a lot of Juju.
Yes.
But I think Kendrick Bourne, number 1, Mac Jones looked noticeably better yesterday. Noticeably. So obviously that has to continue for Kendrick Bourne to be relevant and like flexible every week. But keep in mind, Mac Jones was playing the Eagles secondary. And the Eagles secondary had their moments. They looked fairly good. Kendrick Bourne still had 2 touchdowns. I mean, Kendrick Bourne had 47 targets last year and 11 just yesterday. He had more touchdowns. He doubled his touchdowns.
But
from
he's
last
kind of
season.
always been like this, where every once in a while he has a big game. And
True,
he has, like,
but
explosive
I'm going
play.
to attribute that to playing behind Jacoby Myers. Because I think Jacoby Myers, he also proved yesterday that he's a very good receiver in his own right.
Yeah.
And he was being targeted in large quantities by Jimmy Garoppolo yesterday. So I think that, but I also think that part of it was because their offense was literally terrible. Here's something that you have to keep in mind that a lot of people aren't realizing. The Patriots looked better than we thought they would yesterday, and this is going to be in large part because they have an actual offensive coordinator in Bill O'Brien. Okay, I don't think you guys understand. This is going to make a huge difference when Matt Patricia's not trying to call their plays. Like, Bill O'Brien is somebody who will legit at least lead somebody to a competent NFL offense. Because of that, I think it's going to benefit Mac Jones a lot, and therefore it's going to benefit his weapons. Now, unfortunately, Jacoby Myers was able to, or left town, but last year he was able to transcend that. I think Kendrick Bourne is that for this year. So it's hard when you're looking at all these waiver guys saying, which one should I go for? If I can only have one of them, which one should I go for? For me personally, it is Kendrick Bourne. I want to know you can give me stats on Kendrick Bourne or who your priority is.
I'm not buying it with Kendrick Bourne. I mean, it's his third year on the team. Why now? And you say, okay, Jacoby Myers left, and I think he probably does offer more dynamic athleticism, dynamism, nice. You could say, than Juju.
One might say
but
that.
even last year, he had a couple games where he had 20 points. You know, he had 21 points against New Orleans, 24 against Carolina, 23 against Tennessee, 28 in the playoffs against Buffalo. And these are games where he was getting those like 8 targets in a game, right? So he is last year 47, but he's doing most of his production in 1 or 2 games of the year. That's how he's been these last 3 years in New England. I'm not necessarily buying it. Maybe I'm not really buying anyone in New England, and probably because that's how it's been the last 15 years.
Exactly. Like I think part of it is you're hesitant because you're like, it's New England, which is why we were always hesitant on Ramondre, which was warranted in my opinion.
That's why my number one waiver wire is Puka, and it's not even close because we know from just 2 years ago now is they have one guy that their offense runs through, and if Cooper Kupp's not going to be around anytime soon, it's going to be Puka. We saw that.
Okay,
yesterday.
I would go as far as saying 1A and 1B for me.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because with Puka, like I think his upside is going to absolutely be there beyond this week and into seasons beyond this. So there is that. My problem short term with Puka Nacua is I don't think Tyler Higbee is going to lose targets when Kupp comes back. I think Kupp will take that role back.
Absolutely.
And so short term this season, I think Puka might have it. That one is high risk, high reward because if Cooper Kupp does come back, then I don't think Puka Nacua is going to get that type of production.
But do you think
Kendrick Bourne, I feel like
going to be producing in week 18 for you?
I see that. That's what I'm
17.
betting on. That's what I'm. I do think Kendrick Bourne will continue to be the wide receiver one for Mac Jones, and I think he has a better shot of producing all year than Puka Nacua does at the current moment.
I agree with that.
So that's why I kind of lean heavily towards Kendrick Bourne. That said,
who did you take, Kendrick Bourne or Christian Kirk?
Christian Kirk.
Okay.
Yeah. Look, and that's because
I agree.
Of the quarterback situation, because of the proven production, because he's a slot wide receiver, because he's going to have a shorter average depth of target, like all of that plays into that decision. But with Puka, like the reason I struggle with that is because of his upside. I mean, you saw it yesterday. 15 targets is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. So, all right, let's take some of these comments real quick and go through and answer your questions. So, do us a huge favor, drop a like on the video, and make that subscriber thing go. We love seeing that happen, and it really helps us out. If you guys drop a like on the video, we'll answer all your questions. So make sure you drop your questions in the comments. It's time to talk about these waivers. Let's start at the top with Nathan Schmidt, who we have no idea who this is. Says, "Hey, cuties, what is up?" That's fruity. Slightly fruity, yeah. Let's hear your predictions for tonight's game, fantasy and or the game in general. So for tonight, we
both took the Jets.
We both took the Jets for tonight's game. So spoiler alert, our pick for tonight's going to be the New York Jets. I expect Garrett Wilson to have 2 touchdowns. I expect Garrett Wilson to establish himself as one of the better wide receivers in the NFL this week. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have a good game. I think you're going to see a healthy Aaron Rodgers. I think Dalvin Cook will have a good game tonight. I'm not so sure about this week on out with Dalvin and Breece. I think Breece will have an underwhelming game and get ease back into it. Although I wouldn't be super surprised to see them get Breece a touchdown just to kind of get his feet wet. So I think there's also that. I think the Jets will beat them. I think the Bills, from an overall team perspective, and you guys can let me know in the comments if you disagree. I think the Bills are worse than they were last year, and I honestly don't have a ton of faith in them this year. And short term, obviously, look, they're going to be in tonight's game. Josh Allen,
Dalton Kincaid, Avery.
I like Dalton Kincaid. My prediction tonight is he's going to get 12.01 points.
Yeah.
That's my prediction for Dalton Kincaid. I think he's going to have a touchdown and 5 receptions. But what I was saying was, as far as the Bills go, like I'm probably going to bet against them more than the average person this season. They're obviously going to be in the game. They have Josh Allen. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. But I'm going to take Aaron Rodgers and the Jets defense tonight. I think Sauce locks up Stephon, and I think that Aaron Rodgers comes back and plays like we know he can. So that's my prediction.
Fair enough.
Go ahead.
No, I mean, I'm not sure how the Bills defense. I think the Bills offense will be fine, even with Sauce. I mean, I think they have the dynamism in Josh Allen. Gabe Davis is still a threat. whether we like it or not. I
Yeah,
mean,
no, absolutely.
Dalton Kincaid is there. He's going to get some work. James Cook, we'll see what he does.
I'll be interested. I was not starting James Cook this week because of the matchup.
Yes, I trust the Jets offense against the Bills defense a lot more though than I trust the Bills offense against the Jets defense. You follow?
Yeah.
I think the likelihood of the Jets shutting down the Bills is a lot higher than the Jets offense not being as good as we think it is.
I think that's true too. So you think maybe it could be a lower scoring game actually?
Yes.
You don't think it's which I think I think that's the safe bet.
I think there's a decent bet. The Jets offense isn't amazing this week, but I also don't really trust the Bills defense really.
All right. Let's keep going down the comments here. G16 says Fields a clown. So Justin Fields. The one encouraging thing we did see from Justin Fields was that he had higher volume. And that's good. Like we are not going to
Yay, Justin.
Yeah, we're not going to discount that. But Justin Fields did not look good yesterday, guys. And he
didn't look bad.
He looked like he did last season. Like
I think he looked better than he did last season. He was a lot better at taking his checkdowns instead of just running.
Maybe, but any quarterback can do that. Like
yes,
that's the thing.
I didn't see anything overly encouraging.
No.
Who's the homer in the comments?
Who's the homer? What's the homer say?
Justin Fields threw for over 200 passing yards. Justin Fields for MVP.
Yeah, that would be Nathan. We all know his thought on Justin Fields. And mine. I think he's bad.
Okay.
Mario V says Najee and a crying emoji. Yes, that's how we feel about Najee right now, too. We were telling you to draft him, so obviously we're upset about that. Would you offer the Dobbins opener, Saquon?
Owner. It's supposed to say owner.
Oh, owner. Saquon for Amon-Ra.
Yes.
Banking on JT coming off IR. JT was coming to come back, and he's going to play well this year.
I don't know why the Dobbins owner would accept that, though.
No, but you should definitely do that.
Yeah.
Hi, you. Cup and Amari Cooper for CD and Ramondre or wait it out. You would be getting CD and Ramondre?
Again, I don't know why the other owner would accept it.
Yeah, I would do that.
But if you have that offer waiting,
and you have Chase Diggs, Pollard. Yeah, I would do that for sure. Rushman says, why would I give up Amon Noodles for crummy Saquon?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, he's right.
Yeah.
Nathan Schmidt said Daniel Jones was horrid last night. Are we expecting a bounce back week against the Cards D, and in parentheses, E's, making D's?
Yes.
Yeah. I think the Cowboys defense is legit, guys.
I do too.
So I think we shouldn't super freak out about last night with Daniel Jones.
I think
that said, Daniel Jones was bad.
I think Trayvon Diggs is completely overhated.
Yeah. Rushman says I got some puka over the weekend with spicy Mexican. Oh, you're talking about the player, yes. And Nathan said puka me guy. This is hilarious.
Fat.
That's so funny.
G16 says Gus Edwards or Gainwell off waivers if I'm replacing Dobbins. We're going with Gus Edwards there.
Yes.
Yeah. Had Dobbins in 3/4 of my leagues because of ESPN ADP. Yeah, that's a good point. Dobbins was going so late. So if you're playing in ESPN leagues, like you're not out all that much. It's the best ball leagues that people got just slaughtered on because he was going high enough. Like it's not good. G16 also said Fields did so good checking down. He forgot he had DJ Moore. Yeah, that's a big rip. Keps says, "Hey, cutie patooties, what's up, Keps?"
You know,
we got
the
some
thing
fruity
about Fields
comments.
I almost wanted to be proved wrong about Justin Fields.
Well, you obviously hope the best for the guy.
Like, I genuinely want Justin Fields to be good.
Absolutely.
And like we spent all off season saying, like, guys, please be aware that like Justin Fields historically is probably not going to end up being good, like based on all the facts. And then yesterday I was watching the game. I was like, whoa, he's actually looking pretty decent over his like first 5 or 6 throws. And then he just didn't end up doing anything to really move the needle at all.
Yeah.
I
agree with you.
I was rooting for him.
I was as well.
And it's week 1. Like he has 17 more weeks to prove us wrong. And let's keep hoping he does.
What are your thoughts on Sky Moore?
Sky Moore, this is like a huge Twitter argument. I don't know how much of it you've seen. And people are like, well, I'd rather have Kadarius Toney than Sky Moore because at least Kadarius Toney earned targets. And then other people are like,
that's
Sky Moore was on the field more than Kadarius Toney. And I'm like, well, Sky Moore didn't earn targets when he was on the field, and Kadarius Toney can't catch the ball. So how about give me neither?
Give me neither of them?
Neither.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go find our receipts from months and months ago on our Dynasty channel of us saying, I mean, I legitimately said into the camera, Kadarius Toney's nothing. He'll amount to nothing. I do not believe in Kadarius Toney.
Nope.
Kadarius Toney's the guy that was talking crap last night about the Giants on his Instagram. Like, if you're doing that after that game, after having
They're the ones that put a first-round pick into him.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
at least he didn't
disrespectful.
play as bad as T. Higgins.
Oh, goodness. You brought that up, didn't you? So is a year from now, it's going to be, if you take out T. Higgins week 1, then he averaged blank PPG.
Yep.
Again, like what? I don't know why we do this to ourselves with T. Higgins, guys. And yes, it
That's
was
so funny because it's going to be true.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be like if you count out the first 2 weeks of the season, T. Higgins actually averaged 15 points per game.
I can't wait for that. G16 says, yeah, rip to anyone who played the Cowboys D last night, lost in 2 leagues.
If
just
you
due to
take
them.
over,
That is
if you
rip.
take out every game where Kendrick Bourne had less than 7 targets, he actually averaged like 20 points per game. So
That's the T. Higgins mantra right
Yes.
there. All right, drop your questions, drop your waiver questions, trade questions, etc. Oh man, yeah. Here's my problem. My problem with a lot of these waiver guys is that when I go through and look at if you're in a league where you're starting 8 or 9 people and then you've got 5 bench spots,
Yep.
like those teams are too stacked for me to add a lot of these waiver guys. Like
Yes.
there were leagues where I was not adding anybody. So I mean, this is going to be if your draft was awful, and
you ended up with like, yeah.
but because like I have trouble. I'm like, do I drop Treylon Burks after
but,
week 1? Like
but they're no. But
Exactly.
there's genuinely people like you have to face it. What are you going to do with Deontay Johnson? J.K. Dobbins, he's gone. I'm sorry. If you have Cam Akers, are you dropping him for Kyron Williams, or are you just that's going to be some hard decisions you have to make.
I haven't seen anything on Deontay Johnson today, so that's not good. I don't like Deontay Johnson having a hamstring like that. That's not ideal. But other injuries, Kyle Pitts wasn't injured, but Kyle Pitts just didn't do anything, and neither did Drake London.
Yeah,
we talked about that a lot at extensive lengths on the video this morning,
Yep.
so go watch that. But that backfield, man, I think they're going to be a two-headed monster. It doesn't hurt Bijan though. The misconception is that it's bad for Bijan, and it's bad for Bijan's going to be plenty productive in his own right. Now, will Bijan have a super high league win rate going in the first round? If Tyler Algier maintains this, probably not. But he'll still be a productive running back, and he'll still be elite. He's still very, very good.
And the reality is, Bijan wouldn't last a full season of 28 carries a game as it is.
No.
Like, no one would. I'm sorry.
Yes.
So you have to have someone doing that if your team wants to run the ball that much.
Keps says, how concerned are you about Christian Kirk? You missed it, Keps. Rewind the video when we're done, and you can see us. We had like a 10-minute conversation about that. Ricky AA says, should I pick up Puka to replace McLaurin or Lockett? Full PPR.
I want to hear what you say about this.
I think you should not pick up Puka.
I don't think you should be dropping either of those guys.
Yes.
Just because of the draft capital that you did put into them.
Unless it's like a super casual home league.
You also aren't sure. I don't know. I think he outproduces both of them this week and maybe the next 3 weeks.
So you just don't want to risk sending one of those guys to the waivers and then not being able to get them back.
Because you know they're going to get picked up.
Yes.
In 5 weeks, there's a decent chance Puka's back on the waivers.
Yeah, I think
that's just the reality.
I think there's
of
a
it.
good chance of that happening in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like,
that's
it
just the
is a
reality.
high risk. I think McLaurin and Lockett are elite guys that are way safer. So let's go down to the next question here. G16 says, are you worried about Andrews this year injury-wise? Is it a groin for him? I can't remember.
I have no idea. Let me look that up.
I can't remember what it is, but let me get
a month ago, I would have told you
quad.
But I also wouldn't have been. I wasn't concerned about Cooper Kupp either or Joe Burrow.
So here's what I think. I'm going to give you my strategy. My strategy for this year was fade tight end in fantasy. I didn't draft a whole lot of like those top 6 guys in fantasy football. I just didn't. So honestly, if I had I don't think Mark Andrews is necessarily going to be a sell low because I don't think people are that down on Mark Andrews because he's technically he's healthy still. So I would almost explore trades for your tight ends. Like, I like streaming tight ends in fantasy football right now. I just do. Like, there are enough guys on the waiver. I mean, like, you watched the Chargers game yesterday. You have guys like Donald Parham, like, coming out and catching touchdowns. It just shows that it's pretty much any tight end at any time in the NFL. And then you have guys like Dallas Goedert. Dallas Goedert had 0 points yesterday. So what do we make of this? Like, and with Dallas Goedert, what do you do with Dallas Goedert? Like, I don't honestly, my strategy has been to fade tight end in fantasy. I don't know what your exposures looked like, but I didn't draft a lot of elite tight ends in best ball leagues, and in my fantasy leagues, like, I always ended up with like an Njoku or a Dalton Kincaid. I took a lot of so
outside of Andrews, I hardly drafted anyone.
How much Andrews do you have?
11%. So just
That's not
about
bad.
average. Yeah.
No, like,
I took Hawk.
Let me tell you my tight end
yeah,
percentages.
that's a good one to take though.
I have a lot of Kincaid, Mayer, Schultz,
Yes.
Taysom Hill, Higbee. Those are really the only guys above average. Everyone else is just I snagged them when they fell.
So, yes, I'm slightly concerned about Andrews. I will say that.
I am too.
It'll be interesting to see. Oscar Garcia, what is up, Oscar? My running backs, Mixon, Pierce, Dobbins, Damian Harris. Traded Taylor for a 2024 and Quentin Johnson. Okay. McCaffrey and Hawkinson for Laporta, Pierce, Bateman, and a 24 first. No.
No.
Definitely not even
McCaffrey
close.
and
Hawk and McCaffrey. Like, that's not even close. Ricky A says he has a bench spot. So when you say replace, you're not dropping.
Oh, yes. Then pick up
Yes,
Puka and
yes,
start
you should
him
pick up
over either
Puka.
of those
Absolutely, yes. Trent says, think Burrow and the Bengals will have a big rebound in week 2. For my game picks, I think I'm going to pick Cincinnati next week. I do think the Ravens are a little bit underwhelming. I do predict a big bounce back for Joe Burrow, though.
So I was looking ahead for this question. Back in 2021, the 2 times Burrow played the Ravens, he had 416 yards and 3 touchdowns. And then after that, he had 525 yards and 4 touchdowns. So he was going off against them. But last year, he played them 3 times and had 209 yards. He had 217 yards and 215. So it seems like the Ravens have kind of figured out how to cover Burrow and his duo of receivers a little bit better. So, no, I'm not expecting a big bounce back. Joe Burrow's a great player, so if he does, will I be stunned? No, but I'm just expecting a 200-yard game from him.
All right. There you have it.
I guess that is a big bounce back considering what he did yesterday.
I mean, I was going to say, right? Context is important there. Oscar says, should I attempt that trade to gain the McCaffrey side? Yes. Abso-freaking-lutely you should.
They won't accept it.
Jonathan says, thoughts on Okonkwo, thinking of dropping him for Hurst. Thoughts? Yeah. I mean, look, I hope you're subscribed, Jonathan, because we told you do not touch Chig Okonkwo. It's just not happening. And yeah, I think at the point where you drafted Chig Okonkwo to be your tight end, you're just streaming tight end for the rest of the season. So yeah, Hurst is a good one. I would start there at Hurst. That's a great strategy. G16 says quad. Yeah, we saw that. Ivan says hello. Hello, Ivan. Sell Mike Evans?
No.
I think I like Mike Evans. I think he's going to continue to be productive. I think he was a great value.
Mike
and
Evans
I don't think anybody will pay anything.
Receiver.
I don't think anybody's going to pay anything for him yet. So
no,
I would keep Mike Evans.
I mean, I think Mike Evans is doing exactly what we honestly kind of thought. He's been quarterback proof his whole career. Yes, he's had Tom Brady recently, but I really still think he's going to get like 800 yards and 8 to 10 touchdowns this year.
Carlos Rodriguez says, new here. What's up, Carlos? How do you guys feel about Bijan's usage? He's definitely there as their premier receiving back. Is he a week-to-week play dependent on the matchup or set it and forget it? He's still a set it and forget it.
Yeah.
He's the upside, like, alone. Even if they continue to use Tyler Algier, I don't think this hurts Bijan. So he's definitely a guy, and he's definitely a guy you invested so much in. You have to set it and forget it.
I think he still has a really high floor considering he's going to get those catches.
He's definitely the safer play than Tyler Algier still. So let's not get too caught up in what we saw week 1. That being said, yes, he is still one of the best running backs you can roster in fantasy football. So Mega Brick says, your projection for the Jets defense fantasy points tonight. I will go 8 points. No. 8.13.
I'll go 4.69.
Nice.
Not just as a meme. I mean, I think Josh Allen throws for a couple touchdowns, probably gets sacked 2 times, and
I do too. I think they get a couple takeaways. I bet Josh Allen throws a pick at least.
Yeah, you're right. He probably does throw a pick.
Yeah. So that's
let's
there
go
you
with
go.
Avery here. Yep.
All right. So around 8 points. Dylan says, what up, boys? What up, Dylan? Up 2 points, full PPR. I've got Diggs and James Cook tonight. Opponent has Dalvin Cook. Should I be too worried? I think you've got it. Unless Dalvin gets 3 touchdowns, I think you're fine. I really do think. Nathan Schmidt says, thoughts on Tyjae eating into Henry's workload and taking third down snaps? Well, let's compare their production.
So Derrick Henry had 15 carries, and Tyjae Spears absolutely floored us with his 3 carries.
Yeah.
He did have 3 carries for 27 yards.
Yeah, that's still good.
But it's Derrick Henry. I'm not really concerned about it. Tyjae had 4 targets, 1 catch though. So
yeah,
not showing sure-handedness there. And Derrick Henry had 3 targets for 2 catches and 56 yards. So Derrick Henry's still doing Derrick Henry
because they're
things.
drawing up the screens for Derrick Henry, and he's just trucking people. What were their fantasy points?
13.9 for Henry and 3.8 for Tyjae. And that's a bad week for Derrick Henry.
That's bad. I think that's all you need to know. Not concerned about that at all, but great question. You're an idiot, Nathan. He can't hear us. He's in class and listening to us, so we could talk crap about him and he wouldn't hear
Oh
it.
yeah,
Nathan, when your hair grows out, you look like a goofball.
Nathan, you should have drafted Calvin Ridley.
Nathan did not draft me Calvin Ridley.
Nathan, you're fat.
There you go. All right. G16 says, I think it will be a big running game tonight with the weather. Oh, I didn't take that into consideration. G16 is always there to help us out with that stuff. What's the weather like in New York? Let's look at this. Weather. Or is it is it at MetLife?
Don't know. Let me check real quick for you, my friend.
I know there's been a lot of rain up there.
It's a game.
It's probably in Buffalo because the Giants game was a home one.
It is showing a rainy alert.
Okay, so it's going to be... All right, so then maybe you're right. So I hope you're not counting heavily on Josh Allen or Aaron Rodgers tonight because that would stink.
Yeah, I'm counting on Stephon Diggs in a few leagues.
That's interesting. All right. Brian says, I have number 1 waiver priority. Congratulations. Should I add Puka or Gainwell? Puka all day. 2-point PPR. Like, the dude had 15 targets yesterday. Not a question. I'll let you answer the next one.
Which one?
We're on Oreo X4.
Wait.
Right there.
Okay, I'm up by 0.08 points.
Wow.
I have Greg Zerloin, and the opponent has the Bills defense. Do I lose? This is like a 50-50 here. If there's bad weather, yeah, you probably lose.
Yeah, you're probably going to lose.
Yeah.
But you could also win, which is great.
Yeah, because it could also mean there's not many touchdowns, and maybe like Zerloin hits in a 45-yard field
Tune
goal.
in to Manningcast.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yes, hashtag.
Dylan says, would you try and move Khalil Herbert and Mike Thomas for Travis Etienne? Yeah, you should try.
Absolutely.
Yes. And yeah, Etienne owner, big Saints fan. Do it. Trent Whitwer, what's up, Trent? Devastated for Dobbins. Think his career is over for good now, and you think they'll try to pick up a new running back?
Yes.
I think they're going to pick up Leonard Fournette. I do not think his career is over, but I think the fantasy relevant portion of his career is now ending.
I mean, this is a full year recovery though. Again.
Yep. Yeah. No. I think
his contract's gonna be over. He's gonna
he'll end up somewhere.
He'll pop up again like Deontay Foreman.
That's
in like
exactly
2
what I
years.
think. That's exactly
and
what
he'll
I think.
like still be a decent.
I don't think he'll be
running back.
out of the league, but I don't.
No.
Yeah, he's not somebody.
But
I'm looking
he
forward to
could
seeing.
make that individual decision on his own to be out though.
That's true.
Take his like $3 million he's made and leave.
Yeah, that's true. Sometimes guys are doing that more often now too. So, Dylan says Calvin Ridley, big stud. Yeah, we are aware. We are Colts fans. So, G16 says it's at MetLife. That's what I thought. Yeah, they're just doing the back-to-back games because they're on different days. Hurricane is coming through East Coast, so it will be same conditions as last night. Oh yeah, that's Hurricane Lee, I think, is what it is, and that's a big storm.
Sure thing.
That would make a difference in that game. We'll say that. Carlos says subbed. Appreciate it, Carlos. Thanks for subbing, man. Is Zay Flowers a sell high candidate? No, I don't think so.
No.
The only argument you could make for that is that Mark Andrews is going to come back and take all of his targets.
No.
He out-targeted Beckham and Bateman 10-3. We've been saying Zay Flowers is going to be the wide receiver 1 there all year, so we really like Zay Flowers.
Yep.
It should tell you what we think about him. I also have Olave, Sun God, Ridley, Deontay Johnson, Sutton. Yeah, you want wide receiver depth in PPR leagues, so keep him. Eric says I had St. Brown, Ridley, and Hill starting this week. That is pretty good. That's a pretty good week. Good job, Eric. He sounds like you drafted well as well. Denarly Bro. Nice. What should I do with Deebo Samuel? Don't do anything with him yet. Keep him. Just keep him for now. We still like Deebo, but obviously Ayuk looked really good yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, you should not be panicking about Deebo at all because Ayuk had 8 targets, Deebo had 7. And as good as Ayuk is as a receiver, I think he is a better receiving threat. He's not Deebo after the catch. He's not Deebo as an athlete.
Yes.
So, yeah.
What do you think of selling Ayuk? Too early?
Yeah, no, I think that would be unwise to do. I do think if you can get him for something crazy, like you explore that. But outside of that, we debated putting him on the sells and we didn't for that reason. Like I think if he's going to score points like this, you should just keep him.
I'm not selling Ayuk personally.
Yeah. So, what is Lockett's worth in picks or players? This must be a dynasty question. He's worth probably a second or 2 seconds maybe. I don't know if somebody paid 2 seconds for him. In players, he's worth equivalent to like a 10th, 11th round pick. So take that for their values fluctuate so much in season as well. Ricky A says McLaurin, Lockett, or Puka pick 2. I would take Puka and Lockett there. Puka, Lockett, McLaurin.
Who are the Commanders playing next week?
The Broncos, so he's gonna have Surtain on him.
Yeah, I'll take Puka and Lockett.
Okay. Nathan says, does Indy sign Kareem in the near future or ride with Hull and focus on developing AR as a passer? They better freaking
They
sign
should.
Kareem Hunt.
Apparently, they
stupid.
gave him an offer already.
Yeah, he
right?
wants
just
a
didn't
crap ton of money
sign it.
because he's.
So maybe they up it by a little bit.
I'm glad all
get
the
him.
running backs we get involved with as a Colts organization are all just selfish divas.
Deion
It's
Jackson
great.
is horrible though. He fumbled 3 times yesterday.
Yeah, no, the Colts looked horrible because they had no run game. Like, it was bad. Trent says, think Swift will become the main back for Philly, or do you think they'll stick with Gainwell? I think it'll be another guy, like a different guy every week.
Yep.
I just don't like that backfield for
I don't
fantasy.
either. It's disgusting. Swift is more talented though.
Yes, he absolutely is. Absolutely. Ricky AA says Flowers or Addison.
Flowers.
Flowers.
He's going to get more targets.
Until Andrews. If Andrews were to come back, I'd probably say Addison. Carlos says, let's talk about the Steelers for a moment. Okay, let's do that. You could chalk it up to a bad week, but damn. What do you do with Najee, Pickens, DJ, and Muth?
I think it's a gross offense. I think it's disgusting. I mean, I honestly. Yes, it's Kenny Pickett's second year, first game in his second year, but man, he was horrible yesterday. It was
bad.
like a top 3 defense they were playing though.
Yeah. So what should you do with him?
I think
Nothing. You're not
his
dropping those
ceiling-
guys, and you're not selling them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yes, correct.
It's what you call a worthless burger.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
Yep.
I thought they were called Whataburgers.
Oh man, of burgers. I'm getting hungry.
Getting hungry. Nathan Smith says, can we address A-Rob out targeting all Steelers wide receivers?
Well, Deontay Johnson went out.
Yeah. But, I mean,
So if Deontay Johnson's out,
it's pretty disgusting. I don't know. A-Rob maybe is a sneaky waiver guy, right? I mean,
yeah. I mean,
'cause
they
he had
traded,
how many points?
They traded a decent amount for him, didn't they? Like a 4th round pick or something.
I don't remember what they traded. How many points do you have?
I shall check for you, my friend.
Thank you.
He had 11.4. Him and Calvin Austin. Calvin Austin had a good game. But
Huh.
yeah, I don't know. It's just a disgusting situation there. Like we said, they're playing the Niners defense too. So who really knows? They had several guys who actually got out there. And Kenny Pickett threw the ball 46 times. So I think really you're not really going to see him throwing out the ball very often,
No.
hopefully.
No.
So I don't think it's sustainable.
Yeah, I agree with you there. All right, any more questions? We have talked a lot about week 1, so we're excited to get week 1 in the rearview mirror and get some week 2 content coming out for you. So we'll have videos coming
Always
out
the
for
next
you
thing.
tomorrow. Yes, the next thing. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't. Let's make that little thing go like 1 or 2 more times before we get off here. Really appreciate that. We're going to have content coming out all week for you this week. Good week, though. It was more of a normal week 1 than last year's week 1. So
I agree, yeah.
I like that. We are up to 69 views right now. Not viewers, views. So
nice.
yes. So I think that is going to be a good place to call it on this one. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll be back here soon. We're going to have live streams throughout the week, and we will have videos coming out throughout the week. So make sure you sub and make sure you like this before you leave. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Thanks for joining us. Peace out.